3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition of Indian CIne-MANIACS. What's going on, Maniacs?
Yeah, hey, what's going on, Ralph?
Hey, waiting for Sean? What was that?
Dramatic pause.
I do that dramatic pause because I'm switching cameras now.
Oh, okay. Well,
guys, get with the program. Do you guys watch the program last week?
I watched.
Did everybody watch? Tell me what happens at the beginning of the program.
You go to the little TVs.
Right. So I'm switching from the little TV to us. Yeah. Okay.
So anything that can highlight you, Ralph, I'm super excited about.
You guys, you want to keep me interested, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you see,
if I'm not
how many ways can I do 3, 2, 1? How many different ways can I do that?
Keep you interested?
That actually frightens me.
Nice.
All right. So tonight we're doing a viewer pick called Joji. And John, who picked this one?
This was from Kylo Wen. I guess the best word, inspired by Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Could you read his description he sent you? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. You don't have those anymore.
Wow.
Well, you know what?
Holy passive aggressive, Batman.
That's what you get for making fun of my paws. So there you go.
Okay. Ralph, are you recording? Are you recording now?
I'm recording.
Okay.
Hey, producer, are we recording? Yes. Okay, we got it now. All right, so we're gonna talk about Joji. Then we're gonna the next one is the list, and I can just say, I can tell you it's mine, which was Drishyam, the original. I think it's the original version.
I think it's 2015.
Yeah, the Drishyam that we watched. We watched Okay, so that's the one. We'll show it again, the list, but that's what we're gonna do, and then we move on to the next week's show. But this week it's Joji. Who would like to describe Joji? Anybody?
How about you, Ralph? Why don't you do it?
I don't want to. 1.
I'll go ahead and describe it.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes. Joji is a very loosely based on Shakespeare's Macbeth.
Can you highlight very loosely?
Yes.
Okay.
And so basically it's a story of a youngest son of a group of three brothers and their overbearing, wealthy or somewhat wealthy father, and they're a part of a small Christian group, which I'm sure is a smaller group of Indians than say other religions.
They're Syriac Christians too.
Okay. Yeah. And what it is that actually plays a pretty big part in the film. But basically it's the story of this guy who feels belittled and what happens to him when some opportunities arise for him to do terrible things. Let's put it that way. And I would say, it's funny because when the movie opens, it says that it's inspired by Macbeth, right? Which made me think, oh, okay. We've seen a number of Indian films that have been inspired by Shakespeare. Haider, probably one of them.
Yeah.
Omkara.
Yeah, exactly. Omkara as well, but Haider being probably, I think, the best one we've seen so far, and I would still say that after watching this film.
And closest adaptation of the Shakespeare.
Because this one is, and I don't mind when groups, when people adapt Shakespeare and they change some stuff up, but this really felt very loose in the sense that there's some things that you think back when you think of Macbeth, and I haven't read Macbeth since 12th grade English. But I can say one of the things I kept kind of thinking to myself was, where is Lady Macbeth?
That was
where are the three witches? Double trouble, boil and bubble.
Yeah, Eye of Newt and Wing of Bat and all of that stuff. And I'm fine if they get rid of like kind of the the mystical elements that you have in Macbeth, but in this particular one, it felt like they. I guess my point is if they had not even put that title card up there that said inspired by Macbeth, I might have almost maybe enjoyed the movie a little bit more because I wouldn't have been distracted by thinking.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this was I thought when thinking back on the film, divorcing it from Macbeth, I found it to be a pretty interesting kind of twisted family drama. Do you know what I mean? But when I kept kind of, thinking Macbeth and trying to force it into that framework, or at least somewhat into that framework. I kept thinking to myself, it's not nearly as I don't know, interesting, or I kept having some cognitive dissonance, maybe is the best way to put it. But when I thought about it, not in relation to Macbeth, I actually thought I have much more positive feelings about the movie. For me, this one took a little while to get going. It took me a while to get into this one, but like a little past halfway, I was all the way in. It took me a while, and it's not a particularly long film.
It's not at all. It's under
just
2 hours.
Yeah, it's just under 2 hours. But once things get rolling, I was definitely into it. And one of the things that I really liked about it was its kind of realistic, in my opinion, downbeat ending. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that, like, it wasn't this over the top kind of really crazy situation. This guy, he's not some mastermind. He doesn't have some great.
That's an understatement.
Right. The main character, who's like, I guess he's, he failed out of engineering school or something. He's a disappointment, and he's bullied mostly by his father, but also by his older brothers. And so what in the long
well, hang on. He's a disappointment, especially to his father.
Yeah.
He's a disappointment to someone to whom he could never be anything but a disappointment.
Yes.
Which I think is part of what makes it easier for him, because he's not, like we said, he's no mastermind or anything, but it doesn't take him that far to step over the lines into the criminal and homicidal places that he ends up going, because I think he's been not that his father intended this, but he's basically been primed by abuse for that his whole life.
I was going to say, I mean, the whole movie, he's getting choked out, and everybody's making fun of him. The older brother's doing it. Everybody's treating him like.
But no one likes the father.
Okay. Let me ask a
They're
couple
afraid
questions.
of him. Yeah.
Yep.
The woman with the glasses, was
Vinci.
that was her?
Vinci.
Was that the sister-in-law?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
his
She was a
sister.
sister-in-law.
Was she married to the older guy?
To the middle brother, I thought.
The middle
one who
Yeah,
wanted to,
the one that survived.
who wanted to buy a
Oh wait,
house.
spoilers. We got to make sure there are spoilers here. The middle one who survived, that was his wife. But I thought she was like the Lady Macbeth.
That's what I was waiting for.
She was egging.
kind of gonna be that.
That's
but
what-
then
what she was
really
heading
do
that way, I
because
thought.
she wasn't Joji's partner, woman, wife.
No, but
whatever,
she knew
so-
what was going on and didn't say anything until it was the older brother.
And was the kid who got the BB gun or the pellet gun at the beginning? Is that his nephew? Is that her son? Was that her son?
No, I think that's the oldest.
No, it's the guy who got divorced.
Okay.
The older brother's ex-wife's kid.
Yeah, I think Chris is right. Honestly, I think I had seen the Mel Gibson version of Macbeth.
No, that's Hamlet.
Hamlet. Okay, so I had never seen. I read
Michael
Macbeth.
Fassbender did Macbeth.
Okay, I read Macbeth like Chris back in high school. Don't remember it. So when I said, okay, I knew a little bit enough about Macbeth to go, okay, I'm waiting. And then you're right. It flips. It doesn't do that. And if it had never come up, Macbeth, this is a pretty powerful movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. It's a nice family crime drama that was interesting. But your whole time you're going, where's she going to start doing her thing, and what's going to happen? And then
it's a Malayalam film,
Right.
And we have learned that they are gorgeous,
Right.
and intimate, and star Fafa.
He's great. I mean, I love this guy. I love the actor. So
I wish he
getting
had
to an
that
Amir
mustache.
Khan.
and I'm on his
of
side,
a
even
fan.
though he is a bit of a loser. I mean, he is. There's no
Because you
question.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
But he had been the way his father choked him out at the beginning of the film was brutal. I mean, that was terrible.
And it's like one of those things where you also see, like, right after that scene when he closes the door, he kind of does that thing where he throws like that quiet fit. Much like a 12-year-old would.
Right?
Right.
No,
He
he's
does
definitely
that. He does that
definitely
several times
Arrested
throughout the
Development.
movie.
There's no question.
He's
about it.
infantilized for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
They all are to one degree or another.
Yeah, and so when the father has a stroke, and because he's showing off again, how even though that he's still the strongest and the biggest and the best, even though he's much older, when he has a stroke, he becomes kind of a burden, and he's obviously a wealthy guy. They've got a lot of property, so then obviously at this point Joji kind of engineers, you could say, a situation that causes him to die. He either splits his messes with his medicine essentially.
Yeah,
right?
that
Yeah.
scene, that when he messes with the medicine, it reminds me of a scene in Breaking Bad when the drug dealer, mixes up his medicine and puts it in his pocket. There's a whole thing, and you're so anxious for that. But
Mhm.
this film, I'm sorry, I just no, I didn't go for it at all. I just didn't like it. It was mean spirited, and I I just didn't like the film.
Okay.
I couldn't get into it. I didn't understand.
What our
don't
viewers
remember
want?
that-
Viewers
that-
want you to pick a scene. What scene was the worst scene, Debbie, for you? The worst scene. Which
The
one
worst
did-
scene is the when he actually shot his dad.
No, his brother. He shot
No,
the
his
brother.
brother.
Shot the brother.
with the BB gun.
I mean, we
Yeah.
haven't
Pellet
talked
gun.
about the scene where
was
I could. Who was the friend, the doctor friend? I mean,
Felix.
he almost died in his own living room before the brother took
Right.
him out of there to bring him to
Right.
the hospital the second time. So he was
Oh,
almost
during
gone
the
that
prayer.
during the prayer, right?
Right.
So and the older brother was the one that insisted he get him out of there. The older brother
Right.
was upset that they were trying to perform, and
And the priest was like, no, let him do this. This is him struggling with his sins or
That's
something.
right. I mean, the
Yeah.
priest was a pretty bad person
Yeah.
in this film.
Well, he
Well,
was
that's,
sticking to his
you know,
Christian beliefs. That's
Right.
what he was doing.
Well, no. Here's what's
Well,
interesting.
more than that.
They point out that he's a Syriatic Christian, and
What constitutes a Syriatic?
that as a form of Christianity came from Syria, I assume.
Yeah, Syria.
So I assume this version of Christianity that we're seeing in this film is different than the other Christianity we've seen in other films, like Men of Morality, the superhero movie, where a number of the characters were Christians. And there's some other ones where they like celebrate Christmas and have Santa Claus. This probably is pre-colonial, a remnant of pre-colonial Christianity. I mean, Christianity went to India, according to Christian tradition, very early, the Apostle Thomas. But this is a very dark Christianity. I mean, everything is all about we're all evil sinners. I mean, there's like no niceness in it. There's like no hope or grace. I mean, if you listen to those songs that they're singing, the hymns and the prayers, it's very dark stuff, which is suitable. I mean, it's very suitable for the story. But, one of the things I really enjoy about the Indian films is seeing the portrayal of religion, the many faiths of India, how they're portrayed in this film. So I found this film very interesting on that level. And that priest was not a good guy, and they really curried favor with him. He was obviously a community leader. And when the father turns up dead, there's a lot of suspicion in the community that he was murdered by one or more of the sons. And you can tell that they're really counting on the priest to like come and do the services and sort of like give them their blessing and say, no, this is fine. He died. These boys are good boys,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I
It
think
was so
they're relying-
corrupt. Yeah, the whole thing was corrupt.
Well, they all wanted him to die. I mean, that was obvious when he had his stroke.
Now, here's the question. We've already brought up the point of the sister-in-law. Well, one thing, let's look at the role of the sister-in-law. She is essentially everyone's servant,
Yes.
not just her husband, not just her father-in-law. And she doesn't like it. It's like Joji is sitting by the refrigerator and
Yep.
says, give
Yep.
me some cold water. And she's like, you could reach over.
Right.
It's right in here. You know where it is.
I was confused, but
But she also egged him on in that original thing. She's
Yeah,
the one
Egg
that egged
him
him
on.
on.
And that's the point I want to make.
Right.
She's not Lady Macbeth, but she kind of pushes.
She's the
him a
closest
little bit.
thing to Lady Macbeth.
She's close.
Yeah.
If there's anything that's like more like Macbeth, it's this, is that she is kind of pushing him on, but it doesn't have the emotional resonance that Macbeth has because they're not married and it's not really a conspiracy. She's just kind of pushing him. And Macbeth, which, I haven't seen many film presentations of it, but like some of you, I read the play in the 12th grade or 11th or 12th grade, and I remember it, and I have seen it. I have seen it playing, not as much as I've seen Othello or Hamlet. So, but still, it's like, and I'm like with all of you, it's like if it was more like Macbeth, if they didn't say it was based on Macbeth, I would have liked this film a lot more. But, I thought both, Omkara and Haider, all the major characters in the Macbeth play were represented. And you didn't see that at all here. And I would be seeing a character and I would be trying to fit that character into
Right.
the
It's distracting.
Well, why do you think they would?
Macbeth.
Why would they promote it that way, or why do you?
because the success with the other movies that were based on Shakespeare. So now they're saying, oh yeah, this is based on Shakespeare. It gives it a little more cred, right? And there were elements of it, the young son going after the king, killing the king,
Well, that's,
And he
and then
sees
going
the
into
ghost of the
madness and
father.
paranoia
Yeah,
throughout
I mean, I
the
think
movie.
it's
well,
it's
true.
a riff
He had
on
the
it.
dream. He had a
It's a
dream in the
riff
middle
on
of
it.
this
He
thing,
had
right?
a dream,
Yeah.
but as
Yeah.
it's
He
getting
pulls the
closer to
father
him
up.
getting caught, he's getting a little more anxious. But that's about it. Because to everybody's point, you're just sitting there trying to, like I did in Haider, which they did a much better job of it. You're connecting the characters from the Shakespeare play, or I saw the Orson Welles movie, which is a little bit different. He adapted a little bit, but it was much more, based on Shakespeare than this was. I mean, these movies, the Malayalam movies, are much more grounded. They're much darker. The thing I liked about it, and it was it a great movie? No, I thought Haider was much better than this. This movie dragged for me, but the rubber plantation, that location
That was cool.
was an amazing location. The cinematography I thought was really amazing, and I actually like the music, and I even want to call it, because I like the music. Excuse me, the cinematography I like so much, and that was Shaiju Khalid, because it was beautifully shot, and Fahadh Faasil, who we've seen in so many different things, who I think's a really, really good actor, and I liked him in this when he was like behind the door, like Chris already talked about, when he's having his tantrums and he's trying to hold it together, and also his madness as it started to go. I was a little surprised after he threatened to blackmail the middle brother. I mean, what came over him was very conniving, much different that we've seen, because everything else seemed to be more impulse, right? The violence, especially. But that seemed more like, I've got you now. And then when the brother said, I'll slit my throat before I do this, for that conclusion, I found that, I don't know, I didn't quite buy it. Yeah. So I thought that was a little okay. But I think Vincey, you say it wasn't conspiratorial. She saw and she knew exactly what happened to the father, didn't say a word about it. She saw it.
She even told her husband,
Yeah.
you wanted him dead too.
That's
You
right.
start
And,
to suspect the
Yeah.
younger
and it
brother.
only changed when the older brother got killed, which, by the way, that character's name was Jojis Son. His real name is Joji, the older brother. That's his real name. So I thought that's
Oh.
kind of funny. And the
That's funny.
director never read Macbeth. So,
I can tell.
There you go.
well, that explained when I saw that. Well, now that explains a lot. Yeah, there's a king, there's a prince who's going to kill the king. So if
did he write it as well? Did he write it as well?
I don't think the director wrote it.
So who came up with it's Macbeth?
I
mean,
think once they had the plot of the rich father and the younger son killing him, that's how you could tie it to Macbeth. But I think that's the thread, and his madness. His madness is paranoia, as the movie,
And
we're going to do an autopsy. They talk about that. Then they did one where they found the pellet, right? And then the young, his nephew kind of are figuring things out too. That's when you could see kind of the madness overtaking him, which is from Macbeth. But that's really about it. It was I thought it was interesting looking like that pawn that was a
oh my god, that was gorgeous.
but they made that wasn't an existing
Well,
thing.
the way they
actually made
shot
that.
through the screen and the
Yeah.
leaves and the
Yeah.
maybe.
But he's burning the thing and he almost burns the thing down. So like everyone's saying, he's not too bright, right? But so in that regard, it was interesting, but it's funny. This movie was under 2 hours, but it felt long to me.
It's so
because
I have the
so-
exact opposite. You guys are funny with I liked the movie. I didn't feel it was lagging at all, because I enjoyed watching this guy go through all the things.
No,
he
that's
was going through,
great.
right?
That doesn't make it right.
And when I look at it and I go, it's under 2 hours, so my brain goes, okay, this is not going to be as long. It didn't take me at all long time to get into this one like it normally does, and I was in it throughout.
Yeah, it definitely took me.
Now, confusing about the relationship between him and the sister-in-law,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that
Because
wasn't
she
very
was
clear.
very definitely on his side when she
Right.
wanted the father
right.
to be.
Look, if it wasn't an Indian movie, that part of that storyline would have been him fucking her and her manipulating him sexually, which is
Maybe,
what Lady
maybe.
Macbeth is about.
Yeah.
But that's not what they did in this movie,
Right.
and that's part of how, like, you can see in this movie, you could see that Macbeth, if you told me Macbeth is where we started to strike a spark to get this movie going, okay, I can see that. It's not an adaptation. It could be
Right.
Lear about a fallen
Right.
king and the siblings. Like, it could be a bunch of
Yeah,
different
it's more
stuff.
like
But
Lear
like,
than-
Macbeth is all this stuff about sex and guilt and shame and revenge. And Joji is about shame and revenge. And there's no question at all. Like, you can say, I don't know that you should murder your father, but you get it.
Right.
You 100% get it. This is about a guy who's abused his whole family and lorded his wealth and his very super masculine presence over his sons that he regards as less than in a variety of ways. And Joji is definitely the most less than in his father's eyes.
And the movie
he,
starts with him doing those pull-ups on the ceiling.
right. Right.
I
And
mean-
his grandson's watching him and is intimidated watching him.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't surprising that he would step in there. I mean, I'd met the guy 10 minutes ago, and it wasn't surprising he'd step in there and he'd be like, just get out of the way. I'm going to pull this thing.
And he
out."
was a big presence. That guy was a big presence too.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
great. It's a
Yeah.
that's the thing. The movie, I like the movie, and the movie worked for me more than anything else because I'm like Amir Khan becoming smitten with Fafa. I think this guy is
I'm
so
with you on him. I'm with you.
versatile and entertaining.
Yeah, he is
and
versatile.
striking, and he's an actor and a producer and a filmmaker, and it makes me want to see. I want to see more Malayalam films anyway, and he is through all these Malayalam films and Tamil films. And so when I saw that this was the movie, I've thoroughly enjoyed the Shakespeare adaptations, and I didn't know anything other than, oh, Joji's a version of Macbeth, even though I don't know that it really ultimately is. I was excited about it because it was Fafa. And so that made it fun for me to look forward to, and that made it fun for me to enjoy it. It's not my favorite Fafa film or Malayalam film, but it's really well done. And again, these movies are so pretty. They're
Yeah.
just so gorgeous. The cinematography and the landscapes and everything.
We haven't
Plus,
said this in a while.
It was
but
during COVID.
all the
and-
money's
and
on the
COVID
screen.
was
That's
just
the
sort
other
of-
thing I
yeah,
want
right.
to say.
Yeah, me
COVID
too.
was just sort of part of it.
The
It
masks
wasn't,
were on
like,
everybody.
about
Yeah,
plague.
yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I appreciated that too.
And
Actually.
I also
You
like
appreciated that?
I did because it didn't make it. It was just normal.
It just
Normal.
felt contemporary.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
it
mean,
wasn't
the movie
about
was
the
shot in-
plague.
The
Right.
movie came out in 2021, and if I'm remembering my history correctly, or my recent history, India was really getting torn to pieces by Delta
Ravaged.
Oh yeah, awful.
in 2021. You know,
I'd rather be in a more rural place. Like
Yeah.
where this
I mean, they
movie was
said
set
it
in
didn't.
that
The movie
time.
start with him in quarantine. He's in quarantine. They said.
yeah, he was in quarantine.
Oh,
'cause he
yeah,
had
that's right.
COVID. That's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah, when he gets the delivery of the pellet gun.
Yeah, that was. You know what? That was such an interesting way to start the film. I thought that was Joji on the bike, right? Because you're reading it's an
Oh,
engineer
yeah.
and all this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just the delivery dude
Right.
dropping the gun off. I mean, just well done. Well done, I thought.
No,
The
that
pellet
was,
gun.
That really had me confused. It's because I knew it was about a son of a millionaire, of a rich guy, and I'm like, boy, he really is a disappointment. He's a bike delivery guy.
Right, right.
Rich
Yeah.
guy.
Right. We
Not
all
that there's
started
anything
in the
wrong
same
with
place.
that.
That's funny.
There's
Not that-
nothing
yeah,
wrong
I
with
mean-
that.
It would have been more fun if he was delivering lunches.
Yeah. Right. You could be
But,
making love happen.
I love the rubber plantation.
Yeah.
And, because I was wondering, what is this? But when he was shooting at the trees, those pellets would just go in and you'd see the rubber coming out.
Yeah.
And apparently they had other business interests.
Yeah,
in there.
because the nephew was pulling the bullets out
Mhm.
because
He
Was
was
he-
matching them
right.
He wanted to match them. Yeah.
Right.
to his gun.
Right.
He was doing forensics.
Amazing.
Yeah, that little nephew was, well, I mean, Joji killed his father.
That was his
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
I had trouble with all the it was a lot of relationships going on.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around everything. The sister-in-law confused me.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
she was his sister. That was
Yeah,
confusing a little bit.
Especially and this is obviously common in India as opposed to here. Everybody kept calling the younger guy's son,
Right.
right? So
Right.
at first I was like, wait a minute, is this Joji's kid or not? And then he called him uncle, and I was like, okay, but they call everybody uncle.
That's right.
Kind of respect. Is it, I wasn't sure if he's a blood uncle or just, a respected family friend, that kind of thing.
Well, then when he let him sleep with him to console him after his
Mhm.
father was killed, I'm like, oh my God. That was
Yeah,
like,
'cause
oof.
it's but it's like, yeah, because but really just, yeah, definitely a beautiful film. I actually, like I said before, I think it would have been, I subtracting it from Macbeth, I actually like the film a lot better
Yeah.
than if I really kind of associate it with Macbeth. But one of the things I did want, and this is kind of one of my questions to our viewers. So we've seen a few Malayalam films, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like in Malayalam films, we've seen a number of characters who are Christian. Is that something, and this is just my ignorance here, and I'm just asking the question, is that region of India, does that have a higher percentage of Christians than other regions in India? Or is
I would presume so based on the
know?
movies.
That's what I'm saying. We've seen a number of different characters
Alabangi Nights.
in this, yeah, exactly, in this region. And I just wondered if that's a kind of thing where, Christianity took a stronger hold in that region than in other regions. So that's my question to everybody who's watching.
What was the motorcycle that the delivery guy was on?
It's funny. It was not a bullet. It was
I was thinking about that as he
Royal-
was driving down the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I checked that out and I was like, oh, it's not a Royal Enfield. Anyway.
So, Debbie, anything else you want to say about the? You didn't like it, huh? Just flat out didn't like
I
it.
just didn't like it. No, I don't like patricide. I don't like homicide. I don't like any of those sides.
Okay, well,
I
that's
don't like any of those sides.
that's fair enough.
That's
Strong
What up,
stand.
bum? That deserved a rip.
Oh, did that need
But-
help? Did that need help?
I don't know if I
little
still
bit.
have it.
And it was filmed, just so everyone knows, it was filmed in Kerala. That's where it was filmed, Kerala, which is a rural part of that area. So it was just interesting. When they pulled the camera up and you saw it almost looked like a maze kind of.
Well, that's
just-
contemporary too. It's contemporary
Yeah.
film. It wasn't.
Yeah.
like- yeah.
Yeah, right.
One thing
So-
though, another part that shows Joji's lack of like criminal mastermindedness, it's like he kept Googling things like, he kept Googling all this stuff, and you're like, they can look that up, right? buddy?
Yeah.
Well, he
You know,
closed the lid every time someone came in, doesn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slam
that
the
was-
lid, not close it. Then shut the door and locked it.
I don't care if you're using an incognito window or not.
You
I
know,
actually like the older brother. I thought the older brother was really good in this.
Oh
the
yeah.
drunk.
The oldest one? Yeah. He was very good.
I really liked him.
Well, it's so weird because and his brother catches him in a lie because of something the guy said. But it's like he couldn't get around that. I mean, to me, he could have gotten around that.
Who could have
Instead,
gotten
he
around?
kills
I don't
his
understand.
brother. He shoots him, kills him with a pellet gun.
He killed him with
And
the.
then
Well, no,
blows him up.
he killed him with the bomb,
Yeah.
the cracker.
Well, yeah, but he was, he shoots him in the neck.
Well, that disabled him a little bit.
Yeah, and then he blows him up, and I'm sitting there thinking, no one is going to believe this. This
Right.
is stupid. They're going to wonder why he has a pellet in his neck.
Well, Joji's not, as we've said, Joji's no criminal mastermind. He's
Yeah.
just tired of it. And then he
And I
gets
love how he caught the
impulsive.
lake on fire too. That thing there. It's like,
Yeah, it was great.
and then it's like, were you down there smoking? Oh no, 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 no. And it's sort of like, why doesn't he just say yes?
Right.
Right.
I smoke
Again,
at the
he's
canal.
not that bright.
Yeah.
These little things like that just didn't.
Stupid.
It's like he's lying about stupid stuff.
The movie stupid or he's stupid?
The whole
He's
thing is, the
stupid.
premise is stupid.
No, I don't think the premise was stupid. But let's just say he
Killing
wasn't
your
going to
father.
go. He wasn't going to make a lifetime of crime.
No.
Well, he definitely
Right.
didn't.
Yeah.
All right. So let's. How many Ladus?
I give it 1.
One.
Are we going to 5 Ladus?
5.
Well, I liked the film better in retrospect than when I was watching because I was really distracted by the Macbeth. I really enjoyed the lead actor quite a bit. So I am going to go 3 to 3.5 Ladus. Not my favorite film, not my favorite Malayalam language film either. But You know, if I were to watch it again, I'd probably like it more.
I'm with you,
Because
Sean.
because
Three and a
because you
half.
know it's not Macbeth. Is that
Yes.
why? Okay,
Because
interesting.
literally, I'm sitting there thinking, who's the witch is,
Yeah.
who's done.
For me, it was a sister-in-law. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, I thought
Well,
she's
that's
supposed to
that's one of the pleasures for me of watching stuff like Haider is, how are they going to do that? What is the analog going to be? Like when I saw it set in Kashmir and this violent era and all this stuff, I said, okay, well, I'm pretty confident that the suicide at the end of Hamlet is going to be a suicide bomb. But
Yeah.
it was not who I thought it was going to be. So
Right.
it was both, okay, I see how they're doing this, and also you surprised me. And this movie does not do that or try to do that. And that's fine. But I do think they set up that expectation, which was to its detriment. But again, it didn't keep me from enjoying it and thinking that it was a fine film.
So
not
given
my
that, how many
favorite?
Ledoux? How many
Not my
Ledoux?
favorite, but 3.5.
3.5.
That's good.
I'm going to go with 3 Ledoux. Like I said before, it's a good movie. Obviously, great acting. I think the acting was pretty solid from top to bottom. Beautiful. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it would have just been better as just kind of a plain old family drama.
But that's what it. I mean, so
And that's what it was.
right.
But
So that's
that's what I'm
interesting. Interesting that just having the Macbeth float in your head.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's not
The
having it
Indian
float in your
version
head.
of
They tell
Succession.
you that.
No, but
Ralph.
I
It's not
understand that.
happening in
But
your
we
head.
know that now. You've seen it, so
Right.
you know that's not
Well-
the thing. You still can't separate the fact that.
it was the detriment
Well,
of the film.
I still
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
I think it is
I mean,
to
I'm
the
saying
depth.
that. Yeah, I'm saying I
sorry.
still enjoyed it.
Okay,
I
John,
still
what's
enjoyed it. Thought it was a solid film, but I give it a 3.
John?
Yeah, I give it a 3 too. I mean, I'm just repeating what everyone else said. I thought
3-2?
Haider was a much better movie. I thought, and a much better adaptation of Shakespeare. Where this one really, if they made it and never referenced Shakespeare, maybe I would have thought a little differently about it. I don't think I would have. I still probably would have given it a 3.
Yeah, I'm going with 3 as well.
Drew, you didn't give it Ledoux, did you?
I
Three
did
Ledoux,
3.5.
He said 3.5.
3.5 Ledoux.
3.5.
3.5 Ledoux.
Yeah. I said 3, and I'm really this guy's becoming my guy now. This
No, he's
Fahadh.
very
Fahadh's
very
good.
versatile.
And this is the guy from Super Deluxe who played the drunk scene with his wife
Yeah.
in the car.
Yep.
and
Oh
the
my
psycho
God.
guy and the
I-
other
I-
movies.
The psycho
He's a
guy I
lunatic.
kind of recognized, but I
Yeah.
did not recognize him from that other one. And
And I saw him in an action movie where he was a cop.
which one was that? The
It was oh geez, I can't remember.
Not-
Vikram.
okay.
Excellent and
Anyway, he's
completely
becoming-
different than this character.
I'm starting to look for him now. So that's
Yeah.
Don't you
good.
wish he had that mustache in this film? That he had in Kalabongi Nights.
He's just got that
He was
droopy,
great in that one. Yeah, he
droopy dog eyes.
Yeah,
you know,
but
the
he
way,
could, you can see he could do like he could
Yeah.
like that the scene the one from Super Deluxe. Like I can't believe that's the same guy. That's how so it's
Yeah.
great. Good.
No, that was a
job.
great role in that.
Yeah. So all right. Let me just show the screen. We already talked about it. So this is the 1, 2, 3, fourth one of the group. So Drisham 2013. So we'll just watch that one, which is, I think this is, like I said, the original.
yes,
This one came out first from the
Yeah.
one we saw. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
yeah. Everyone
Well, I gotta
says
say,
it's better.
A lot of people like this one better,
Interesting.
but I just like Aja so much.
Well, that's why they say this one's better because this guy seems to be more the everyman than Ajay does.
All right. Well,
I could see
Ajay's
that.
like my favorite Indian actor.
Yeah.
all right.
I'm
It's
sorry, I
also
didn't
a
hear
Malay-
that.
This is
I didn't
a
hear that.
Malayalam film, so it'll
This
be
is
a different vibe.
you said Amir Khan's your favorite actor, and
Second.
Ajay second.
Second, Ajay's first.
Just want to make
Ajay's first.
And you know my favorite actress is
Kareena Kapoor.
Taboo.
Taboo.
Oh
You know,
yeah, well we all
South
love
She's
Taboo.
so good.
We need to see more films with Taboo in it.
But I heard it was taboo.
Oh, wait, hang on a second.
Thank
That's
you.
very low. That was a low one.
Wow,
That
what was
a low one.
that? Wow, that was
That one
lame.
needed some help.
Not loud enough. All right. So
No, it
good
was
job.
loud enough.
Next week it's Drisham. 2013 Drisham.
Who brought that one? I'm sorry.
That's mine.
It's yours. Okay.
And that voted 4th or 5th in the group. So 17%.
Hey Ralph, at least it's not last.
That's me, baby. 16%.
60.
And I wear it proudly.
That's right.
All right. John, anything to say?
Yeah, as always, guys, please subscribe, hit the notification button, and smash that like button. It doesn't make a difference to you, but it makes a big difference to the channel. We really appreciate it.
So, all right, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy the next film. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye, guys.